Hi everyone, just wanted to introduce you to our lesson for the next couple days, Canada's involvement in World War II and the home front, the war at home. This lesson overviews what you're going to be studying for the next couple days. The PowerPoint and the lessons are all attached onto our D2L classroom website. As the next 2 days unfold, take notes on these charts. They're the ones that are attached and your teacher will hand them out to you. What you need to look for is what the issue is about, who is involved, but most importantly, what is the historical significance for the war effort, which is a short-term significance, or for Canada is a long-term significance. You can look at either or of those. There are 4 pages that you need to study for, and these are all the notes that you will need for the home front on your final unit test and exam for this course. At the very end, please take note of other notes and resources in case I miss something. Feel free to write it in there. I will be collecting these charts on Thursday of this week, and you will need to have them complete for then and submit to your teacher. Now, as we begin, I'm going to ask you to log into your Twitter account. We're going to be our trading card characters, and our hashtag for today is hashtag or pound symbol WW2CANHF, which stands for World War II Canadian Home Front. And you're going to tweet out what everyone is doing, what your job is in the war. First, we're going to start off with our concept of total war. We're going to watch a Disney propaganda video on food rationing, which will take us about 3 minutes. Secondly, we're going to look at Canada, the government, and the economy, who is involved, and what our role was for the Allied war effort. After this, we're going to take on a little bit of research time. We're going to look at how many ships Canada produced in World War I, and we're going to compare and contrast with between World War II and World War I. Next, we're going to examine a video called Rosies of the North and the role of women in the war. We're going to look at their efforts in the factories and in their new roles in the armies and in the navies. So from there, we're going to look at wartime prices in the trade board, crucial term you need to know for your final exam. And we're going to look at rationing. And get this, we have another Disney video with 3 little pigs. So back to victory bonds and victory loans. You know about this from World War I, and they thought it was such a good idea then, they decided to continue it, and they raised nearly $12 billion before the end of the war. We do have a little bit of a commercial on it too. Next, conscription crisis is part 2, and we'll be looking at some exhibits that are primary documents in newspapers on the Canada War Museum site. So, from this point, we're going to look at the social support network and some different things like baby bonuses and unemployment insurance that set the stage for our social safety net that we have in Canada today. On day 2 of the lesson, we're going to examine the War Measures Act. We're going to compare this with how the War Measures Act was used in World War I. So you'll have to do a little bit of research. We're going to look at Allied prisoner of war camps that were in Canada and find out where they were actually located, because they kind of hid them away a little bit. The government, furthermore, had the power to control. What do you think that is? Enemy aliens. So we're going to look at the role the Japanese Canadians played as enemy aliens in the war. We're going to look at Pearl Harbor and its importance upon Canada, and who actually was an enemy in our country. So what did Canada do? We imprisoned more than 14,000 Japanese Canadians, along with prisoners of war that were from Germany and that were captured in war overseas. Does anyone know who that is? That would be David Suzuki. He actually spent some time in an internment camp. So we're looking at why Canada was the way it was and how different it's become today. That's the historical significance of that. Why do we treat people differently? How did the St. Louis get rejected in 1937, and yet we're still imprisoning Japanese Canadians, and yet today we're taking on 25,000 Syrian refugees in 2 months? What about Canada has changed? That's the crucial point about this lesson that you need to know about. So in 1988, there was a formal apology to Japanese Canadians, which we'll be looking at, and we're going to actually examine the role of spies, the fear that people lived with during the war, and how this actually changed the Canadian psyche and the children that were born afterwards. At the very end of class, we're going to spend some time working on our World War I projects, and you are going to write up your proposal for me, and that is due at the end of Tuesday's class. The project right now is due a week from Tuesday, but if we need to negotiate a due date, let me know. Thank you.